Hello and welcome to the Windows Active Directory Expert. If you are new to this channel, kindly go ahead and subscribe this channel. Do like and share with someone who really needs your help in order to scale up in the Active Directory. In the previous session, we discussed about the metadata cleanup, like what are the various way we can use in order, to clear the metadata of the zombie domain controller. In this recording session, I would be covering the Active Directory dependent services, like what all services are critical for Active Directory to function properly, right? Because Active Directory dependent on many services, and if those services will not work, you then you would see the huge impact in the environment. And also make sure, just keep in your mind, like if you're preparing for the interview. So whatever I'm going to explain, just keep it somewhere. I mean, note it somewhere so that it will be useful for your interview as well. So let's begin the demonstration for that critical services that are that must be running in order to Active Directory to function properly. Go to I'm logged into my domain controller. Go to run and type here services.msc. Type here services.msc. The first service itself, it's Active Directory Domain Services, right? It's AD service, ADDS service, Active Directory Domain Services. Double click here. If I go to the dependencies, you can see we have DFS replication, we have DNS server, we have enter messaging, enter side messaging, we have Kerberos key distribution center. So I'll tell you a bit of these for all, four services. So your DFS, let me start from the DFS. So DFS is being utilized is being utilized while replicating the sysvol across all the domain controller in the environment. Okay. Earlier it was FRS file service, file replication service, but now it's a distributed file system, DFS. So DFS has a kind of better performance and also the capabilities, right? If I'll give you an example like how DFS is better than FRS. So I'll give a kind of uh, presentation over here. So suppose you're using FRS for the sysvol replication, suppose, right? If you made some changes, say maybe you write one note file in which you had mentioned the message hi, right? And you got multiple domain controller in the environment, like based on different location. Maybe this DC is in India and this one is in UK, then you have US, and then you have China, and some other countries as well. Like this is how the global organization works. Like they place one domain controller in each, and it could be more than one, but bare minimum they at least place one domain controller. If you have you know 20 or 30 number of users or more than that, so depending upon the load, right, depending upon the user application coming for the authentication or the load to the domain controller, the organization, the architect, they plan the single domain or multiple domain depending upon the demand. So you're using FRS for the sysvol replication. Okay. So you had created one notepad file in which you had mentioned hi message, and this message should replicate to this domain controller, this domain controller, this domain controller, and I mean, this information is already here. So till here, right? You have one, two, three hopes. So this will be replicated across all the domain controllers, correct? All right. So if I add one more message over here, like let me hi Vivek. correct? So again, what happened? Like it will again try to replicate the entire message to all domain controller again. When I'm saying entire message means including hi, Vivek, it will replicate to all the domain controller once again. And this is the disadvantage of using FRS in the environment. This is high Vivek message is very, I would say very, what we called light, right? It's very less to replicate in across all the domain controller. But just imagine if you have multiple group policy ADMX file for the central store. I will be covering the central store and group policy in separate sessions, so don't worry about that. Just keep in mind like there is something we called central store for the group policy. Okay, so don't stress a lot. So suppose you have multiple ADMX file and you're changing the group policy or the multiple ADMX files. You're changing something or placing made ADMX file or ADML file. So you can think of, right, if you have less bandwidth across these domain controllers, so there would be a definitely a slowness issue that slowness in the authentications, whatever the users are there, they would be experiencing, and some other due to network slowness, some other problem also be rising. Okay, and that is why the FRS is not feasible. And now we have DFS, right? DFS we are using for the, so DFS comes from the server 2008 onwards. Okay, so distributed file system, now sysvol is being utilizing this particular uh, engine, DFS engine, we call DFS engine, to replicate the information. So the major difference I would say, like suppose in the FRS, right, if you modify anything, again it will replicate the entire whole data to all the domain controllers, but there is a change in the DFS. Like if you write hi, it will replicate across all the domain controller. But again, if you incremented the message, suppose you write Vivek, then this time the DFS will only replicate the Vivek. I mean the encrypted document, encrypted information will replicate over here. So you can understand the differences, right? So just keep in mind and write it someone, because this is very important when you go for the interview. The interviewer will definitely ask you this question, like what is the difference between FRS and DFS, all right? So perfect. So I hope I explained the DFS replication, and then we have DNS. So we all know, right? Anything in the machine or over the internet, everywhere, DNS is one who just does does the job for us. Okay, when I'm saying does the job for us means name resolutions. This is very important because computer only knows the binary system, correct? 0 and 1, if I'm not wrong, 0 and 1. Computer understand these two numeric words. Binary, we called it binary words. So DNS is just to resolve from host name to IP and IP name to host. Here in this recording session, I will be give a kind of overview of DNS, but in this separate session, I would be covering the DNS whole and soul. I would be covering entire concept of the Active Directory with including zones, record, types of record, resource record, everything with perspective of Active Directory. So here why DNS is very important, because Active Directory is completely rely in the DNS name resolution. Okay, so if your DNS is not working, because DNS hold the a host record for the domain controller, various SRV records, resource record we called, like right, like for LDAP, for KDC, for GC. So these are the resource record. that is being inside the DNS. So this is very important. If your DNS service is not working, then your Active Directory will completely down. So that one thing that you have to keep in mind. Inter-site messaging. So this service is basically to exchange messages from client to server, for server to client. So you can equally, this is equally important like your DNS and DFS replication. Then we have KDC, right? So KDC is again very crucial because uh, in the environment, the entire environment rely in the authentication, correct? We all, every machines, every users rely on the authentication. So if your KDC service is not working, then your machine will not be getting any ticket. When I'm saying ticket, that means the permission. The permission. If you're not authenticated, then you won't be able to authorize for any resources in the environment. KDC, I will be covering in the separate session, like what is the KDC and how it works, like Kerberos flow, in which I would be explaining the Kerberos AS response, AS request, AS response, APS request, AS request, AS response, TGS request, TGS response, and AP request, AP response. So I would be downloading the network monitor tool and will show you the entire flow of the KDC. So hope these four services you understood well. One more important thing that I would like to include over here in this session. So there is one more service, Active Directory Web Services. So this service is very important. So most of the organization, they configure the alert on these services, right? For DFS, replication, DNS, inter-site messaging, KDC, and your Active Directory web services. So this web services, suppose if I stop the web services, right? So Active Directory web services is stopped over here. So what will be the impact in if in case your Active Directory web services is down? Now we understood, like if any of these four services are down, then what would be the impact on Active Directory? But what if your Active Directory web services itself is down? I mean, this service, right? On the screen, if you can see, you can take a screenshot. So Active Directory web services is basically used for the PowerShell access. So if your Active Directory web services is not working, that means you won't be able to access any of the module for Active Directory, any of the command, any of the script you won't be able to execute in the PowerShell. In the PowerShell, you won't be able to import the Active Directory module and perform any task. You won't be able to do if you have this service in a stop state. So since we know, right, all of the in today's world, we all of the task uh, using PowerShell is possible for bulk user creation. That I would be giving you the bulk user creation script as well. So for bulk creation, for any health check, for any group additions, we PowerShell is a kind of your friend, right? If you don't know like how PowerShell works, I would be record a session for you separately. So don't worry at all. If you're here, then I would be definitely teaching you or helping you with everything which involves in Active Directory. So don't worry at the moment. So hope this uh, particular recording session is going to be very useful for you. So thank you. Time to say goodbye. In the next recording session, I would be covering or else you guys tell what should I cover, like domain partition or the FISMO role definition and the transfer and seizure. Because I got one comment in which that guy was requesting me to make a video on the FSMO role transfer and the FISMO seizure. Seize, that technical word we use for the you know uh, seizing the role in the Active Directory. So that is a term that I would be covering in this separate session. So just decide and just keep me posted your comments so that if I have a majority of people requesting for anything, then I would be, creating the or kind of recording the session for that particular concept. Thank you very much once again. And again, if you have not subscribed this channel, please subscribe this so that it will motivate me a lot, and I can do um, lot of things uh, for you guys. Thank you very much, and have a great day ahead. Bye. Thank you.